coffee goes by. Just starting off on your back, giving your knees a hug, rocking from side to side a little bit here, start to loosen things up. So where we're going with this today is we're gonna do a little bit of work on the ground here. Then we're gonna be working into a squatting position. So if you think of this position on your back as being like the bottom of the squat, you really wanna pull those knees in tight, maybe have your knees a little bit outside your torso. Start to stretch your hips out so that we're ready to get into that squat position. You can even grab like big toes. So if someone were to take you and stand you up or sit you up, you'd be on your feet, preferably with your upper body like straight up, like you're sitting in a deep squat. All right, so let's start to rock a little bit with this. So you can grab your knees and roll up. All right, so let's go ahead and back down to your back here. We're gonna push your hips up. Put your hips up, and then you're gonna take your left hand and reach over to your right as far as you can. So we're rolling onto that right shoulder. And we reach and come back to the middle and reach again. Your hips are gonna be up in the air the whole time. But as you reach, we're looking for a stretch. You're gonna be turning your upper back, might get a stretch across your lats. Check in, see if it feels the same from side to side. Try reaching up over your head. Try reaching out to the side. You'll probably get a little different stretch in each of those. Remember, your hips are going to stay off the ground here. And we roll and reach. And good. All right, so working our way into that deep squat position, we're going to sit up tall. Bring your heels in as close as you can with still sitting up tall. So try not to round yourself over like this, but we're going to sit up nice and tall. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of rock ourselves into that squat position. So we'll roll back and come up, roll back, come up. One of these, let's go ahead and stay in that squat position. So you can put your feet where you need to. Some are going to be wide, some are going to be narrow. One way to help here is, so even something like a couch cushion can help here. Anything you can elevate your heels with. All right, so this helps me just a little bit. A lot of times if you have like ankle mobility issues or limitations, just elevating your heels a little bit can help you sit down into that squat a little bit easier. All right, so we're still just sitting in the squat. And let's go ahead and stand. Because we're just going to go down into that squat a few more times. Play with the distance of your feet, so they might be wide, they might be narrow. You can try a few of each. But really, we're just going to be squatting all the way down, sitting, getting your balance, and coming up. Now let's do about 5 of those. Again, by elevating your heels, you'll help yourself be able to sit up a little bit taller. And it definitely helps me. I can get down into the deep squat, but especially the first few don't look or feel all that good to me. But as we go along, I feel more and more like I can just sit down and do it. All right, on the last one here, we're going to go down. Let's bring your feet a little closer together. Keep your feet together, and then we're going to drop your knees down to the floor. Yeah, feet right under your hips. Okay, so now we're tall kneeling here. We're just going to go through a series of three different positions. All right, so we'll go tall kneeling. So we're getting up nice and tall. Try to make your posture nice straight line up the front, tailbone tucked down in the back. Okay, so we've got here, and like a deep kneeling where you're sitting on top of your heels. And then deep knee bend where you're still sitting on top of your heels, but with hands free, you pull your knees up off the ground and we balance here. When we put knees to the ground, we come up to kneeling. So we're here, pull those knees up off the ground, try to sit as tall as you can, knees down and come up. So let's just work through that for about a minute here. The goal is to pull your knees up off the ground without any extra balance checks. So we want to make it as smooth and controlled as possible. You're just going to shift your shoulders backwards. Let's give it about 30 more seconds. Just try to hit that perfect one where when you pull your knees up off the ground, there's no extra balance checks. Okay, but the way you do that is just by moving your shoulders backwards. Allows you to pull your weight up off of your knees back down to the ground. Everything should be nice and slow, nice and controlled, nice and easy. All right, one more with deep knee bend here, and then we'll get on to some other hip flexor stretches. So think of one foot's going to be like you're in a squat, and then the other foot is going to be tucked up under you. So you're sitting on your heel here. One foot's curled up under you. The other foot is flat on the floor. All right, so from here, you're going to just switch. So we pull this knee up, the knee that's on the ground, you'll pull that knee off the ground and just sit onto your other foot. You'll do a little pivot on the ball of that foot. All right, so we're here now, sitting on one heel, one knee up, and then we switch sides. So there's really not much standing. You won't be standing up when you switch. We really just want to shift your butt to the other heel. And once your weight's on the other heel, then that foot can come up. We're just turning from side to side here. When you get there, you can even push this knee out a little bit for a groin stretch. We're just really trying to work a little bit of hip mobility here. Try to sit as tall as you can over top of your heels. So this would be like if you're on the floor with a group of kids and you're working with some over here, and then somebody over here wants to play, you just switch your weight, rotate over. Very good. Okay. So let's do a half kneeling. So one knee on the ground. You're going to reach this foot forward, and you're going to drive that knee forward as far as you can. So we're looking for a big hip flexor stretch here. Do your best not to let your back arch, like your low back arch back. But we're going to do this 2 different directions. One out at about 45 degrees, so kind of sink your hips down. And one straight forward. So we're looking for that hip flexor stretch down the back of this leg. So we just did a bunch of stuff where your hip is in full flexion. Now we want to stretch it out more. All right, let's switch sides. You're going to kneel on the other knee. Pushing out to 45 degrees and pushing out straight ahead. As you push out to the side, try not to let your knee collapse into the middle. So we want to keep that knee, think about keeping your shin as tall as you can keep it. And good. Okay. So this morning circuit, the past couple weeks we've just been doing like on your own time, go through for 7, 8, 10 minutes. Today we're going to do a minute of each, and we're going to go through 4 times. So we've got a total of 12 minutes of work. We've got 3 exercises. The first one is going to be this 90-90 hip position. So we fold one in, fold one out. So we're seated here. And from here, we're going to go up to a standing position, right? So we're going for a minute. So you can do it at your pace. But what's going to happen is you're going to rise up here. That back leg becomes your front leg. And we stand up from there. Go right back down the way you came. Front leg becomes the back leg. You go all the way back around. Okay, once you get down to the bottom here, that's where you'll switch sides, preferably hands free. Rise up. And then come right back down the way you came. The knee that was just on the ground, you're gonna go right back to the ground. I'm gonna wrap that leg back around, and we're back to the beginning. Okay? So lots of hip mobility there, a little bit of strength coming up with the lunge. All right, so that's the shin box to standing. All right, we're actually gonna get into some rolling today, maybe. So it's either rocking, right, like we did in the beginning. Okay, or if you're ready, we're gonna do a shoulder roll. So we'll go back over your shoulder. Really important here not to go straight over behind you, because we don't want to put your neck in that position where your chin is crunched down to your chest. So you're actually going to go over your shoulder here, put your toes on the floor, and roll back. So I did that whole thing with my head off the floor. Okay, so anywhere from rocking, just plain rocking like this, to getting your knees and toes all the way back over, pushing back to that top position. Okay, so that'll be the second minute. The third minute is just a crawl. So you pick a crawl, knees and hands. You can do the inverse crawl where you're on with your belly button facing the ceiling. So those are our 3 exercises today. Any questions on the roll or anything like that? That's sort of like beyond where we've gone so far with this. Okay, so do what you can there. Obviously, anything concerning the neck, we want to make sure we're really safe with first. So make sure we're really rolling off to the side, rolling on that shoulder. You might tip over sideways a few times, but that's okay. Just make sure you're really pushing your shoulder strong into the ground so you can support your weight as you go over it. Okay, so with that, we'll go 4 times through. Every minute we change exercises, and we'll start with that 90-90 hip position. So one hip turned in, one hip turned out. And we'll go for a minute, okay? And we're going from here. Remember, you're gonna rise up, back leg becomes your front leg, and we stand from there. Then we get back to this position, wrap it back around, okay? All right, we'll go for 1 minute. Ready, set, here we go. It helps as you bring that knee back around. Think about putting your knee right at the bottom of your foot. That should help you be in the right spot. 20 seconds left. Seconds. Right after this, we're getting into the rocking. 3, 2, 1. Good. Let's go ahead and down on your back. And we'll rock. So whether it's kind of like the warm-up rocking we were doing before, or if you're rocking all the way around, or all the way back, put your toes down and push yourself forward. Make sure if you're going over one shoulder that you go over the other as well. Thirty seconds left. For sure. Okay, 5 seconds, and then we'll crawl. And here we go. 1 minute of crawling. Keeping your knees just off the ground. You remember you can change that crawl anytime you want. So if you want to flip over and go to an inverse crawl, do that also. 25 seconds left. Ten seconds. And relax. That's round one. Go right back into the 90 hip position. And we're going from there to standing, lunging back to the ground. Thirty seconds left. Five seconds. 2, 1, and we work on the rocking. Remember, we're working on anything from just rocking back and forth nice and easy. This can be, borderline rest time, or we're working on getting all the way over. It's really hard to do this when you're not around, when you're not with people, because this is a lot easier to coach when you can see people. Plus, full rolls are not things that most people have done in a while. 15 seconds. 5 seconds. 2, 1, and here we go, into the crawl. Halfway. 10 seconds left. Remember, whenever you're crawling, you're working in opposition, so that's one hand forward, the opposite foot forward. All right, relax, good. Back to that 90-90 position, we're halfway there. 2 times through that circuit, one more, or 2 times through the 3 exercises one more time. That was confusing. Check in here. Everybody good? So the goal here would be to be hands-free and efficient coming up off the floor. There you go. Good job, guys. Okay, into the rocking. Twenty seconds left. Five seconds till the crawl. And here we go. You pick a crawl. Could be knee hand crawl, right? So you can keep your knees on the floor here and just move around. It's all about the opposition though. So when one hand is forward, the opposite leg is forward. Halfway. Ten seconds. And time. Okay, last round here. 90-90 hips, all the way up to standing. Ten seconds left. All right, and rocking. If you want a little challenge here, you can start to try to rock yourself in a circle. So we're doing smaller rocks, but you're moving yourself around in a circle one way, and then the other direction. Halfway there. Fifteen seconds. Okay, and last minute of crawl. Here we go. "25 seconds left. "10 seconds. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. Okay, find a position that's comfortable for you. Whether that's seated, cross-legged on the floor, legs straight out in front of you. Now that my hips are all warmed up, this is actually feeling sort of comfortable for me right now. Which doesn't happen often. But however you're seated, make sure you're seated or lying down nice and tall, with lots of space in between your tailbone and the top of your head. So it should be a little quicker recovery after this than a typical Monday, Wednesday, Friday circuit. But still, we went through a lot of good movements today. Some deep hip flexion, which is important. Some big knee flexion, which is important, just to maintaining that range of motion in your joints. So once a week, it's important to get really deep into those ranges of motion, as long as there's not pain with it, right? So we shouldn't be like pushing through pain, but we do want to get into whatever pain-free range of motion we can. You probably noticed as things went along, it got a little bit easier to get into those positions. So your body will adapt and adjust to allow you to get into those positions. It's not always tight muscles. Sometimes you just have to get to that range of motion to know that you can. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for joining me, gang. And if you need anything, reach out and let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. And we'll see you tomorrow. See you.